Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Let's talk about Brooklyn. Brooklyn walks up to Chase and tells her that she's leaving. And at first what? I was like, I'm sorry, what? But then I stopped and I thought for a minute and I was like, what is Brooklyn's purpose moving forward? I mean, they weren't going to sit there and do this whole love triangle thing. I guess when Dante came back and he made it more official, whatever the reason was, they weren't going to do this whole love triangle thing with Dustin and Lulu. So now it just kind of leaves Brooklyn kind of out in the cold, because it's not like, I mean, I guess you got Brando, but how many single men are in Port Charles besides Brando? You have Chase, but, he's in love with Willow, and that's really about it. That's the only people that I could sit there and think of. So, it's like, it's one of those things, and it's weird. It's one of those things where it's like, if you're not in a relationship with someone, then you kind of don't really seem like you have a place. And it kind of brings me back to days when I think about Ben Weston. Ciara's gone, so it's like Ben is just kind of floundering around. And after this whole thing with Deception, with Brooklyn, she can't really sing, and she's not really getting along with her family. It's like, what is she doing on the show? So, to be honest, when when she was like, she's leaving, I'm like, alright. I'd rather have the character gone than have the character there just kind of floundering around. Yeah, she talks to Chase, and, Chase tells her everything, about them making up the affair and everything like that. And pretty much Brooklyn says the exact same thing that Finn did. Nearly to the letter. And Brooklyn was like, before I leave, I'm going to make things right with you and Willow. Now, on the other side of town, you got Willow Smith there painting, I guess, the nursery or whatever. Michael's there. Michael starts to help, and, she falls, and he catches her. And then, somewhere along the lines, Michael opens up a envelope, which is the divorce papers. Now they're like dragging their heels and everything like that. Then they look at each other like they about to start kissing, and then it just cuts off. Like, it just cuts. So at this point, I'm just like, oh my goodness, will you just this? I don't know what they're doing. Okay, I don't know if they're trying to get together or if they're just trying to just have some boundaries. It's like this back and forth, and like after a while, it's like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of exhausted. So I guess we'll just wind up seeing what happens with that whole thing. Now let's talk about Sasha. So, Sasha goes to the Metro Court. Nina sees her. She talks to her. Tells about, she okay. And, Snitty talking to Jax and whatever. And that just kind of set Sasha the wrong way. It was like, just talking about her behind her back or whatever. So she walks off. I don't know where she goes, but she walks off. And then Nina and Snitty talking to Carly and Jax. And they're talking, and then they, bring up Sasha. And then Sasha walks right back over, and she says something, and then she just makes a beeline right towards, outside to, meet Cyrus. Now, it's kind of weird. I don't really understand, because Carly kept saying, I wish I could just exercise my rights to, refuse service or whatever. I was like, but you can. I don't know why you don't. I don't understand why she is still letting Cyrus, dying at the Metro Court. Like, I really don't understand that. Yeah, she kicked him out the first time or whatever, but, like, after that, he's just been coming back, and she's been like, alright. But I'm going to complain about it for some odd reason. So anyway, Sasha meets up with Cyrus, and they start talking and stuff like that. And Sasha's like, well, you gave me some blow last time, and I want to know what it's going to cost me. And Cyrus is just like, just your friendship and company and stuff like that. And they start talking for a little bit. Then Nina storms right in there, and Nina storms in there, and Sasha, I guess, like, goes outside or whatever, and Nina's just like, you need to back away from her, she's not in a good place, yada yada yada. And then, Cyrus makes his counter argument about Nina in the magazine as far as women being independent, making up their own mind, she's not a little girl, she can think for herself, yada yada yada. So you go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Finally, Nina's just like, listen, if you hurt her, I'm coming after you. And she just leaves it like that. And then Sasha goes back, outside to the terrace after Nina, got done with him. And, they pretty much just kind of agree that it's like, we're going to be friends and we're going to just hang out or whatever. And, Cyrus is like, so are you hungry? You want to eat? And, Sasha's like, yeah. So she picks up the menu, and of course there's blow there. Sasha just kind of gives that little smirk in her face, and Cyrus does also. I'm just like, what are we what are we doing at this point? Just models and blow, and this feels so 80s or 70s. I'm gonna go with 70s. And of course, Cyrus is not there. Before Sasha came in there, Cyrus was not there talking to Brando. And, Brando was like, oh, thank you for giving me his job, this, that, and third. And, Cyrus is like, listen, this is only half of it. I got a special project for you. We don't know what that project is. Because he didn't say it, but we can always, we can all insinuate that, it has something to do with Cyrus testing Brando's loyalty. That's what I'm going to assume. Liz and Franco. So Franco pretty much, gives her everything, tells her everything. It's like, as far as the tumor and stuff like that, and he had, he known about it for a little bit, and then, he brings up Terry knew, and she was like, well, Terry knew, my best friend knew. I'm like, yes, Terry knew, but she's a doctor, and she's not going to violate HIPAA, because you just shouldn't violate HIPAA. Please don't. I'm actually glad that she didn't. And Franco was like, don't be upset with her, I told her, doctor-patient confidentiality, whatever. So they start talking or whatever, and, Franco, Liz, on one hand, I get it, she's in that denial phase where Franco's like, it's inoperable, there's nothing we can do, and, there's no point in getting a second or third opinion and stuff like that, and, my personality could shift, and I could be dangerous to you and the kids, and, I get the fact that she's in denial. There was a part of me where she was like, the best medicine is our love, and, we're stronger than this, and this, that, and the third, and I was just like, I can't tell if we're just doing a soap opera theme, or just love conquers all kind of theme, but I was like, okay, alright, so we're gonna go there. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I'm not gonna lie, nothing really came from it except for he just talked more about the tumor and how it could affect him, and he didn't want to be a danger to her and the boys and stuff. So it just kind of went back and forth. Nothing major really happened with them. One second. It was an hour episode, and I feel like there was so much stuff going on then I'm just like, I feel like I'm missing something, but I don't feel like I am. I guess the last thing we'll sit there and talk about is pretty much the last thing that really happened, which was the nurse that Curtis and Jax were looking for showed up at the Metro Court. Showed up at the Metro Court, and she met up with Jax, and then Nina came out. Apparently she was the nurse that took care of Nina at that place that fake Jason was being held at. Christ and Clark or something like that. I can't remember that name, but anyway, she was sitting there talking to Nina, and long story short, Nina was just like, so what happened to my child? So hopefully we'll get some answers tomorrow. Yeah, hopefully we'll get some answers tomorrow. Oh, also, yeah, and that was pretty much the end of that scene. Also, when Carly was sitting there talking to Jax, Carly informed Jax that they ruled Nell's case as accidental, but Carly was just like, she still felt like there was something missing, like something that she couldn't remember. And I'm not gonna lie, there was one part where, Jax was like, maybe it's just the fact that just, you're looking over your shoulders, this, that, and the third, and he grabs Carly's hand, and I'm like, man, optics ain't looking good, bro. I mean, between Valentine whispering in her ear, everything that she's seeing, and every time that y'all two are together, hell, there was one point where Nina passed by and didn't say anything, and then she started talking to Sasha, but then she saw them again, and she was like, alright, I'm just not gonna wait, and I'm just gonna be like, hey, remember me? We're supposed to be kind of, seeing each other right now. I'm just like, there's gonna come a time where she's gonna walk in on Carly and Jax, and she ain't gonna be happy, and all that talk that Jax keeps in there saying about how we share a daughter and nothing else and yada yada yada. There's only so many times you can sit there and say that same thing over and over again before it's just like, bro, optics ain't looking good, But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much about it. It's weird, because it's like there's more stuff to talk about, but I guess they didn't really decide to add that many people in there, so, yeah. Yeah, and that's actually about it. Honestly, to tell you the truth at this point, I just really want them to do something with this Michael and this Willow thing. Like, I have a feeling that, either Michael and Willow are going to kiss, or Chase is going to get there, and they're going to do this merry-go-round BS where it's like Chase is going to say something, and then Sasha cuts him off, or somebody cuts somebody off, and he doesn't get to sit there and say how he feels, and they're just going to drag it on even further along, and I'm just going to be like, it's just so exhausting. Like, at some point, this is the reason why sometimes where it's like, whenever you have Michael and Willow talking, I just start looking at my phone, because it's just like, unless they're actually going to do something and like get together or like break up, it's just like, I don't really care. This back and forth nonsense has been going on for too long. GH has this real bad tendency of stretching things out beyond the point of just pretty much me caring, It happened with the Wiley story when, Michael didn't know, about his son being alive, and now this Michael and Willow thing, and this Chase thing, and, honestly, to tell you the truth, I think if anything good comes out of this whole story, is that they get to, kind of have Brooklyn go away. Here's the thing, I like Brooklyn, I do, but if they're not going to give her a purpose, something to actually do, then her being there and her constantly just arguing with her dad, or her somehow that they're trying to flirt with Dustin, or like, you know, screwing up with deception. And let's be honest, she can't sing. That's pretty much her passion. So unless she gets another passion out of the clear blue, like, I don't know, Willow being a nurse now, I don't really understand what's the point of Brooklyn still being on that show. So, yeah. Rather than just not waste a character. And with that being said, yes. That's going to do it for this review. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you liked. Did you like it? Did you not like it? And yes, it seems that the writers did forget about the whole... I wasn't at there talking to a subscriber about the fact that when, you know, what's his name? I'm about to call him Michael Eastwood. Finn was like, did you get to see if Peter's your son or not? He already got to see if Peter was his son when he was sitting there talking to Robert when he found the test results. So I don't understand, why is he asking that now? Like, I thought he already knew. I gotta sit there and rewind that because I want to make sure I got that right. Because I could have swore he already knew that Anna wasn't Peter's mother. But now he doesn't know. I don't know. I honestly, tell you the truth, I'm not going to lie. I almost partly don't care because I don't really like Anna that much. And I feel like they're just going to drag it out way too long anyway. But yes, I do feel that they just kind of like trying to act like everyone is supposed to have amnesia, like Finn didn't actually see those test results, but whatever. And yes, have a good night, good day, depending on when you're watching this. Be safe. I will catch you in the next review.